Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen wrote a very interesting piece for thehill.com, a mainstream entity many of you may be aware of. And I will tell you at the outset here, I'm not going to tease this. I will share with you what I found to be the most interesting part, which came towards the whole thing was great, so I'm happy to run through this whole thing. I think you'll like it. But my favorite part where he was critiquing the United States government for giving basically blanket pardon to specific cryptocurrencies, of which XRP obviously is not one. Especially if you're referencing what the SEC has cited in essentially what he used was he was pardoning Bitcoin and Ethereum. So yeah, he didn't hold back. It was a really well thought out piece, and I want to share that with you. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button, I would definitely appreciate the support. And also, if you just so happen to be a fan of Ripple and XRP, well, gosh darn it, it's your lucky day. You done came to the right spot, son. This is an XRP-centric channel, so go ahead and subscribe. Why the hell not? Don't cost nothing, man. Take my free product. Take it. I want to say, Crypto Eddie, my fellow XRP YouTuber, she's nailing it. Like, one of the things that's always struck me about her, she purely wants to get to the truth, which resonates with me because my channel, despite my silly name, and it's just because I have a sense of humor, like Moon Lambo, that's a stupid freaking name. I get it. I'm joking, right? The whole thing's a joke. But I'm proudly running a non-hype channel, and so it's not all going to be rainbows and Skittles, lollipops, and cute little puppies, actually, too. It's not going to always be all that, but there's so much great news around Ripple, their developments in the XRP ecosystem, that I don't think we need hype to be really excited about what's going on here. That's my honest opinion here. So when somebody's hyping something up a bit too much, or I think something's ridiculous, I'm happy to politely share my opinion here. And so many of you will be familiar with what's been going on with one billionaire oil tycoon Charlie Ward stating that XRP is backed by gold today, which is amazing to me because it's not worth what gold is. If you go to a cryptocurrency exchange, it's worth the open market price of XRP. So who backed it, and why don't everybody know about it? But then he also stated that Swift is going out of business at the end of August. At the end of August this month, which is funny because I wish I had the piece pulled up. There's a piece from what was it, FinExtra, I think, and they just had a new story that came out today. I really wish I had, or it was yesterday. I wish I had this pulled up because it was a story about a new bank going online with Swift GPI. So little do they know, they've got less than 2 weeks to be on board with that, according to Charlie Ward, that Swift is just the end of it. And by the way, I want to mention this before I forget it too. If you buy into this concept that Swift is gone, and I know it's fringe, like I get it, the vast majority of people feel the same way I do, but there are fringe people like attacking me on this, like actually literally, well, figuratively attacking me, unless the verbal attack is literal, in which case then it would be literal. Getting kind of it's very fringe, it's very few people, but I've gotten some of that. And so I want to know, so if you're talking about Swift going offline, which moves $5 trillion per day, last I saw, I think that's the number, you can fact check me, either way, it's in the trillions per day. In terms of settlement, 5 trillion is the number that I can recall off the top of my head. And there are about 11,000, you can fact check me on this too, this is off the top of my head, I didn't know I was going to say this, but I think it's about 11,000 member banks that are utilizing Swift for settlement. So out of all these banks, do they know, the 11,000 banks, and do they know that they're about to lose service from Swift? Do they know that they have to onboard new technology from this quantum financial system, whoever the central entity is that's running this? Do they know that they have to do it overnight? Because, again, August 31st is the last date. Do they know? Or are they just not going to be able to move money around the planet? You see how absurd this is, right? And so, like, they're going to roll out this whole thing. It's going to take place at midnight, the stroke of midnight in whatever time zone, August 31st, and going into September 1st, and it's going to be flipped on. Or is it the case that every single bank on the planet, they already implemented the software, they're just waiting to turn it on? They're just waiting, and they're all quiet, and there's 11,000 banks with who knows how many millions of people working at them, and they've all kept quiet, and this hasn't leaked out, but Charlie Ward knows. Charlie Ward knows this is happening, right? And so it's complete absurdity. And so I appreciate, the reason I wanted to highlight this is Crypto Eddie, super responsible. I appreciate this because I don't want people to get scammed. And not that Charlie Ward's trying to scam. I should retract that. I wasn't even trying to say that. I don't know why that word came out of my mouth. I don't want people to be fooled into believing something that isn't true, because Charlie Ward has offered no evidence to this point for what's going on here. And so, none, like literally none. These are such extreme claims. Like, if you are going to have an extreme claim, it requires extreme evidence. If not, you deserve to be questioned. And so, I'm not making fun of Charlie Ward or picking on him, but I am attacking his ideas, not him, his ideas, and what he says is fact. And so, Crypto Eddie wrote, and she shared this little screen grab. Somebody on one of her videos wrote, September 1st, new quantum financial system live 100%. And so she shared that little screen grab because that's just not true at all. And she wrote, one of a few comments in my channel. This is exactly why I'm taking the position not to spotlight phony, counterfactual people. It's misleading for too many. We're not talking monopoly money. Exactly. This is real people's money, and they can be influenced. People are trying to get to the truth. I don't want them to be believing things that are extreme, first of all, and there's no evidence for, right? I want to believe as many true things as possible, and there's no evidence for this. Now, somebody wrote something about XRP being backed by gold. It's since been deleted, unfortunately, on Twitter. You can see this, but Crypto Eddie responded, and she wrote, no, sorry, gold doesn't need XRP to buy or sell, and no, XRP is not going to be backed by gold. If you want a gold-backed token, those are already for sale. And it better never be, because part of the cool thing about being in XRP from my perspective is the opportunity for asymmetrical returns. If it were backed by gold, then it's just worth whatever gold's worth. So, how long do you think it's going to take for gold to double in price? And that's what you want your XRP to be worth? No thank you. And it's not happening. So I wrote this tweet then, a flying saucer. This is completely ridiculous here, because people are saying that, it's on me to prove that Charlie Ward is not true. And I think that people don't understand what the burden of proof is, but the people making the claim have the burden of proof. It's my responsibility as a member of the XRP community to question outrageous claims. And so I wrote the following when somebody was, I'm not going to highlight them, but they were debating me. And it was fine. It wasn't like anything nasty, but they were debating me, and then I was just trying to get my point across. So I wrote the following in a comical fashion. I wrote, a flying saucer full of aliens dressed like clowns will land on my local Burger King on August 31st, 2020. You have no right to question me if you don't have evidence that it's not going to happen. The burden of proof this is untrue is on you. Good luck. So there we go. All right. Oh, yeah, and there's a picture of an alien desiring a cheeseburger if you want to take a look at a funny little GIF before I go on here. That was funny. Yeah, shout out to Bumpy Knuckles for that one. I like that. Shout out to Kevin Bledsoe for sharing this next piece with me from The Hill. The tech Cold War is here, and the U.S. isn't winning. Like it or not, and this is again written by Chris Larson, co-founder of Ripple. Like it or not, the U.S. is already fighting an economic and technological Cold War against China. While we should aim to eventually return to the optimism and promise of a broad China/U.S. partnership, the time for that is not now. This is a major challenge to our country, and we must do everything we can to avoid losing our economic leadership. By now, we all know that the rivalry in 5G and AI, part of China's $1.4 trillion technology commitment, less attention has been given to an equally consequential struggle. Who will control our future global financial systems? The power and privilege Americans enjoy from the dollar being the world's reserve currency cannot be overstated. While the U.S. makes up 21% of global GDP, the dollar accounts for over 88% of global trade. Part of this privilege comes from America's stewardship of the world's financial infrastructure, giving the United States enormous power in international relations and advancing a global economic system based on American values of economic freedom and open access. The world, including China, has also benefited enormously from American stewardship. But a moment of fundamental change is upon us. Much of the world's financial infrastructure is based on antiquated technology from the 1970s and faces dramatic change from digital wallets, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and interoperability protocols. For China, This is a once-in-a-century opportunity to wrest away American stewardship of the global financial system, including its ultimate goal of replacing the dollar with a digital yuan. Nailing it right there. And I hope it's clear to everybody at this point that that is what China is gunning for with the digital yuan, which is a central bank digital currency. That is absolutely the goal, and they're playing perhaps a decades-long game, and they are freaking patient. Now, while far from a household name, these technologies are gaining popular traction. At a high level, cryptocurrencies are digital assets or currencies enabled by distributed ledgers called blockchains where there's no single system controller. Different from traditional fiat money that is issued and backed by governments. Blockchains are essentially public databases that anyone can access and that allow you to move value without a central counterparty. China is playing the long game with a series of strategic moves that should make the U.S. paranoid about maintaining our lead. It has already achieved near universal use of digital payments domestically through financial tech giants such as Alipay and WeChat, and is on the cusp of issuing a state-controlled digital currency, the digital yuan. Yes, the aforementioned central bank digital currency. Now, the Chinese government is also subsidizing the vast amount of energy needed to fuel cryptocurrency miners in the country. Mining is one way to verify blockchain transactions where individuals or companies solve complex mathematical problems for crypto in return. At least 65% of cryptocurrency mining is concentrated in China, which means the Chinese government has the majority needed to wield control over these protocols and can effectively block or reverse transactions. And that's one of the main points I wanted to get here, because I don't care what the little Bitcoin maxi trolls say. They sound like this, like, Bitcoin, global reserve in the future, and they waddle away to stay warm by their dumpster fire underneath the bridge they live at. Right? That's about as complex a thought as they get, and they just pretend that China having control over mining isn't potentially going to be a problem because it hasn't been a problem yet. This would be a major problem if Bitcoin is adopted in a more major way than it is today. My gosh, think about it. Imagine the Chinese government taking control of the mining entities by force. Think about what they could do. Are these not real problems worth talking about? Well, absolutely they are. Sorry, Bitcoin maxi troll, but this is a real thing here. So you've got that, and then you've got the digital yuan. China is just like, they are wrangling to control everything, right? I'm telling you here. And given the well, how do I want to say this? Trying to be careful here. So, given, whatever, fine. It's communist China, all right? Like, I understand it's like quasi-capitalist over there, but come on. Look at this. This is an authoritarian regime here. Do you actually think it would be good for the world if they had this? Like, how would they be a steward? Think about what the United States has done with the dollar. And look, I understand. I've bitched about how they're debasing the United States dollar, printing it into oblivion. Okay, fine. What would China do? Now, that's a scary hypothetical mental play, right? I'm sorry, nothing against the Chinese people whatsoever. They're great. I'm just talking about the government and, what they've displayed here. It's a cause for concern. And Chris Larson is rightfully calling this out, right? And so you get to the bottom here, and he states this. The United States must recognize that strong American financial technology companies are in our national security interest. It starts with a digital dollar initiative to keep up with the digital yuan. The next step is viewing Silicon Valley as a global financial technology powerhouse and even moving some of our federal regulators to the West Coast. There's no reason Silicon Valley can't be one of the global financial centers of the future, which, along with New York City, would level the playing field with China. And perhaps most importantly, we must adopt a far more supportive regulatory approach to blockchain and cryptocurrencies, especially those technologies developed and used by American companies. And check this out. This is where we get to my favorite part. Unfortunately, the United States has taken a mostly hostile approach to these new technologies, establishing policy either through enforcement actions or blanket pardons to specific assets. Our current anti-blockchain regulatory approach is in response to the alarming initial coin offering, ICO craze, of 2017 and 2018, in which some investors fell victim to fraudulent offerings. While the response was appropriate at the time, now the lack of clarification of what good looks like is stifling U.S. innovation and sending homegrown companies overseas. And so there you go, calling out certain coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they get the pardon. XRP, to this point, has not. And it's actually legitimately useful. It's a sad thing. Tell me what you think below. I'd love to hear from you. But this is it for this video. I'm not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because if anything I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.